Welcome back to Frontier Echoes, where voices of the Old West rise from dust and silence, carrying stories of love, danger, courage, and the unpredictable turns of frontier fate. Today's tale is one of the rarest, rawest, and most powerful ever whispered across the plains. It begins in a crowded market, a place where men traded cattle, horses, tools, and sometimes, tragically, people. But in this story, a single sentence changed everything. "Buy me, cowboy." A whisper so soft it could have been lost in the wind, yet powerful enough to bind two destinies forever. The sun was high as the frontier market bustled with noise, smoke, and the heavy scent of barter and desperation. Merchants shouted over one another, cattle bellowed, wagons creaked, and dust hung thick in the air. The market of Red Bluff wasn't a place for the faint-hearted. It was where fortunes were made, where tempers flared, where justice was uncertain and mercy was a luxury. That afternoon, a lone cowboy rode into town. His name was Colt McGraw, a drifter known in scattered settlements for his steady hand and silent ways. Colt wasn't looking for trouble. He had ridden in only to buy supplies, coffee, bullets, maybe a new bridle. But fate has a way of finding even the men who avoid it. Colt guided his horse through the crowd, boots dusty, hat pulled low. He tied his reins to a post and stepped into the market lane. That was when he saw the platform. A wooden stage, sun-bleached and crowded with onlookers. And on that stage stood a woman unlike any he had ever seen. She was Apache, tall, proud, fierce even in her silence. Her wrists were tied, but her posture stayed straight, her chin lifted. Her hair fell like a river of black silk over her shoulders. Her eyes were deep, dark, unbroken. She looked more like a warrior princess than a prisoner. Whispers moved through the crowd like a spark through dry grass. "That's the Apache woman they caught near Skull Mesa. Heard she took down 2 men before they brought her in. They're selling her. Ain't that risky? Look at her, never seen anyone that beautiful." Colt felt the world around him fade to a low hum. Something about her, her stillness, her fire, held him where he stood. A trader stepped onto the platform, raising his hands. "Gentlemen, step closer. The finest capture Red Bluff has ever seen. Strong, young, skilled, perfect for labor, perfect for the homestead. An Apache woman of rare beauty. You won't find another like her this side the mountains." The trader tugged harshly at her arm, trying to turn her for display. She didn't struggle. She only stared forward, refusing to break. Colt felt something twist inside him. He had seen cruelty before, and he'd always known the West could be merciless, but seeing pride treated like property left a bitter taste in his mouth. Bidding began, loud, aggressive, careless. $50. 60. 75. The trader grinned wide. "Who'll give me 100? As the crowd shouted, Colt stayed silent. He had no business here. He didn't need trouble with raiders or tribes. And buying a person, no matter the circumstances, was something his conscience struggled to accept. But then, something unexpected happened. The woman finally turned her head. Her eyes locked on his. She studied him, not with fear, not with hope, but with a strange, steady recognition. As if she saw something in him the others couldn't. Colt shifted, uneasy, but he didn't look away. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft but carried through the crowd as if carried on a gust of wind. "Buy me, cowboy." The words weren't pleading. They were certain. Commanding. A choice she had made. The crowd fell silent, stunned. Even the trader blinked. Colt's jaw tightened. He didn't know whether to walk away or step forward. But her eyes held him, anchored him, and something deep inside whispered that this was more than fate, it was a crossroads. The trader, sensing opportunity, clapped his hands. "You heard her. She's Chu Sin, her buyer. Now who's bidding?" Shouts resumed, louder than before. But Colt felt the weight of her gaze, unbroken, unwavering. He stepped forward at last. 100, he said quietly. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Someone pushed ahead. 120. Colt didn't flinch. 150. Another rancher scowled. 175. The trader's grin grew wicked. Who goes higher? Colt's hand tightened on his belt. He didn't have much money left. But he felt it in his bones, walking away would haunt him forever. 200, he said. Gasps rose from the crowd. The rancher hesitated, grumbled, then stepped back. The trader slammed his fist onto the wooden post. Sold. Colt exhaled slowly. He didn't know whether he had saved the woman or just stepped into something that might change, or end, his life. The trader cut the ropes binding her wrists. She rubbed them gently, but her eyes never left Colt. She stepped down from the platform and walked toward him, every movement graceful, controlled. He expected gratitude. Or fear. Or anger. Instead she said, "My name is Nayeli." Colt tipped his hat. "Colt McGraw. You bought me," she said simply. "You asked me to." Her gaze softened, barely. "Yes. Because you are not like the others." Colt cleared his throat, unsure what to say next. "You're free now. You don't owe me anything." Her expression didn't change. "We ride together." Colt blinked. "We, what?" Nayeli stepped past him, her voice calm. "Your horse waits. We go." Before he could respond, 3 shadowy figures emerged from between wagons. Apache raiders, warriors from her band. They had been watching. Waiting. Tracking her. The crowd scattered instantly. Merchants dove behind crates, ranchers ducked, children ran. The air filled with panic. One of the warriors pointed a spear at Colt. "You bought our sister. You die." Colt lifted his hands. "She asked me to. She belongs with us." "She belongs to no one," Colt said firmly. Nayeli stepped between them, raising her chin. "He did not buy me as property. I chose him. I leave with him." The warriors hesitated. She spoke to them in Apache, sharp, commanding. Colt couldn't understand the words, but her tone was unmistakable. She was not asking permission. After a long silence, the lead warrior lowered his spear. "You walk a dangerous path, Nayeli." She replied in their tongue, and the warriors disappeared back into the crowd like ghosts. Colt exhaled. "You didn't have to do that for me." Nayeli's eyes met his. "Yes. I did." Together they walked to his horse. She mounted behind him gracefully, resting one hand lightly on his shoulder, not possessive, not afraid, simply balanced, steady. Colt guided the horse out of the market, leaving behind the chaos and whispers. As they reached open land, the wind cooled, carrying scents of cedar and dust. For a while, neither spoke. Then Nayeli said quietly, "I saw your eyes before you bid. You had no desire to own me. That is why I chose you." Colt swallowed. "Why me?" "You look like a man who protects," she said simply. "And I need protection until I return to my people." Colt thought about the warriors. They didn't seem happy about that. "They will understand in time." He nodded slowly. "Do you trust me?" She didn't look away. "Not yet. But I trust your spirit." As they rode across the plains, shadows grew long. Coyotes howled in the distance, and the sky burned orange and crimson. They found a quiet place near a stream to rest. Colt lit a small fire, careful not to start a blaze. Nayeli sat across from him, her eyes reflecting the flames. "Were you really taken?" he asked gently. She nodded. "My captors ambushed our scouts. I fought, but they were many. Why did you speak to me in the market? Nayeli took a slow breath. Because you do not look at me as a trophy. Or a slave. You look at me as a person. And I needed a person, not a master, to help me. Colt looked into the fire. I don't know where this path leads. Nor do I, she said softly. But I know this, when I saw you, something inside me said I would be safe. The cowboy felt something shift in his chest. A connection, strange, sudden, but undeniably real. Days passed as they traveled, through canyons, forests, dusty trails, and silent nights lit by stars. Colt taught her how to saddle his horse, she taught him how to read tracks in the dirt. He protected her from a rattlesnake, she protected him from a scouting band of raiders. Their bond grew without words. One night, as they camped beneath the sky, she said, when I said by me, cowboy. I meant save me. Colt nodded slowly. I think I knew that. She leaned closer, her voice soft as desert wind. You did more than save me. You gave me back my freedom. Colt swallowed. You can return to your people tomorrow. We're close. She didn't reply at first. Then she spoke a truth that stunned him. I do not wish to return alone. His breath caught. Nayeli. She looked at him, her eyes warm, not pleading, not uncertain, just truth. The world is wide. Our spirits met for a reason. I choose to walk beside you. Colt had lived years believing he was destined to ride alone. Yet here was a woman who had changed his fate with 4 simple words. By me, cowboy. Not a command. Not a plea. A beginning. As the sun rose the next morning, painting the land gold, Nayeli placed her hand in his. 2 different worlds. 2 different pasts. One shared future, where love, freedom, and destiny walked the same trail. And as they rode together into the horizon, the frontier whispered their story for generations to come, a reminder that sometimes the wildest hearts find each other in the unlikeliest places. Thank you for riding with Frontier Echoes today. If you want more unforgettable tales from the Old West, stories of courage, untamed love, and frontier justice, stay with us on this trail. Like, subscribe, and keep your spirit ready, because the West never runs out of stories. Until next time, keep your boots dusty, your heart brave, and your eyes open. You never know when destiny might whisper your name.